Hello, everybody, and welcome back. The morning after the night before. Of course, I've got Mr. JFT, Jay's Fight Talk, with me to review the weekend boxing action. How are we, mate? We well?
Good, you?
Good, yeah, good. So it wasn't the biggest of boxing weekends name-wise, should we say? This weekend just gone. We've got a huge week coming up next week, obviously, which we'll definitely dive into probably before the end of this show. But we've got a big week lined up of content next week. But Janibek, obviously, on Friday in Australia against Mikhailovich. Nick Ball last night. A couple of sneaky good fights on the undercard there as well. So, it wasn't too bad, mate, overall. But we'll start with Nick Ball, shall we, in Liverpool, the main event, him against Ronny Rios. We watched it together, didn't we, on a live watch-along last night. Yeah. Fun fight, actually, for the 10 rounds that it lasted.
I mean, yeah, you called it, didn't you? Late stop. I think you called it back 10th round, so
I didn't want to bring it up too early, but
I'll give you that. But no, I mean, for me, Nick Ball got everything he needed from that fight last night. He got rounds, he got, punched in the face, took a lot of punishment to the body. He got I'd be very surprised if his nose is not broken.
Yeah, it was just bad, wasn't it?
It happened fairly early on, and he looked for once like he was struggling for cardio. What I mean is, he looked like it was definitely restricting his breathing. I won't say he was struggling for cardio. Maybe struggling to recover his cardio with his breathing being restricted. Mm-hmm. Rios, teak tough, took some. I mean, that knockdown was fairly heavy, and there'd be many that probably wouldn't recover from that. And he was in the fight right up until maybe the last 4 or 5 minutes, leading up to the stoppage. But yeah, fantastic fight, great fight for the home crowd. You could see that Nick Ball was emotional walking to the ring. He was spotting people he knew, and it was great. Everything you want from a homecoming, world title defense. And I sort of dismissed Rios as, I won't say not being deserving of the fight, but I believe there were other people that were more deserving of the fight. But, he proved me and many others wrong. He came to fight, put up a great performance. And, what can we say about Nick Ball? He personifies his nickname of the Wrecking Ball.
Absolutely. So, there's a few things to take from it. Like you said, by all means, big shout out to Ronny Rios, because he outperformed every single one of our expectations, even though I did think Ball would stop him late. I didn't think Rios would be as in the fight as he was. And don't get me wrong, he was a mile back on the cards. He'd been on the deck. Yeah, he's on deck 3 times, wasn't he, before his corner threw in the towel. So, but that doesn't really paint the entire picture. Like you said, he was absolutely ripping Nick Ball's body. And I do think that's a weakness for Ball. Ray Ford really, really worked that in his last fight before that. So it'd be interesting to see if as he unifies, which I'm sure he's going to be looking to do next, as he starts to fight the upper echelons and the elite of the division, whether there's going to be people looking to exploit that or not. But just going back to Nick Ball, he's probably the most exciting fighter in the UK right now. I genuinely would say that, and he's one of the most exciting fighters to watch in general in world boxing. He's not the most skillful. He's just game as anything. As Dan said on the live stream when we were watching last night, he's so offensively just, how can I say, the sayings, obviously he's willing to take one to give one, but that doesn't really, for me, do enough it's not complimentary enough to Nick Ball.
No, it's not.
Like, there's the sweet science, and, it's great in the hit and not get hit thing, but as fans, I don't care what anybody says. We want to see violence. That's what we're here for. We're not here to watch 12-0, scoreings, and they are good to watch sometimes. Don't get me wrong. Proper good scoring is great, but the way Nick Ball does it, doesn't matter whether he's fighting Ronny Rios, whether he's fighting Vargas, whether he's fighting Ray Ford. He's gonna get wet every single time he gets in that ring. He knows for a fact that he's gonna get punched square in the face quite a lot of times.
He doesn't boxing match, he sort of has a fight with boxing skills sort of sprinkled in, and that's not me dismissing his boxing skill, because his boxing skill is fantastic. His offensive punching and footwork are a world level. Obviously, he's a world champion, but he likes a fight as well. He'll stand in the pocket and have a scrap, and a lot of times he's outgunned, and I don't mean that in the terms of his punch power, because He does punch hard, but he's normally the shorter person. His range, he has got deceptively long arms, but last night he was 2 or 3 inches shorter in distance, but he's willing to stand in there and trade, and the attributes that he has in terms of power and strength, he's willing to forego those and just have a scrap. I think he likes a fight as well. I think he does like a tear up, and I think
he lives for it. He absolutely lives for it, and and it's funny to say that, as considering he's a professional boxer, and that's how he puts food on the table. But you can tell there's some that are about it, and there's some that maybe aren't as much about it. Nick Ball is about that life.
There's boxers that we know of that don't fight and have probably never had a fight in their life in terms of a street fight. I'd like to go out there and put on the record. I don't know him, but I'm pretty sure Nick Ball has had a couple of street fights just by the way he boxes. He was covered in claret. He couldn't breathe. There was claret everywhere, and he was just chopping away.
He's comfortable. He's comfortable in that.
Yeah, and it's like he never waned from the tactics. It's like chopping a tree. He's chopping it until it falls, and he won't stop chopping until it falls down. And that's what we got from Rios. He chopped and chopped and chopped, and eventually the tree fell. I know it was a corner and a mixture of corner and referee.
Yeah, and just talking about that as well, mate, it was a great stoppage by Ronny Rios' corner. He fell through the ropes, and he was really brave, actually.
He was hurt. He was badly hurt.
Oh, he's badly hurt. Yeah, he did really well to get back to his feet, to be honest with you. I thought the ref probably could have waved it.
I thought he was going to wave it off when he fell.
His eyes were, he was like, he could barely open his eyes. He looked terrible. He looked like he could have just fell over or something. But, that's kind of what happens when you're getting punched square in the face by a volume puncher for 10 rounds.
Me, off the back of that performance last night, Rios could beat many of the top 10 at feather for me on that.
Yeah, if he wants to continue, obviously he's 34, which is old enough for a 126er, but he showed enough last night to definitely be used as an opponent.
They were catching ball, just finding a little gap under the elbow. They would have dropped a lot of people. And at some stages, I thought they'd hurt Ball, but he's got a poker face as such, but I fear, not fear for Nick, but I wouldn't like to see him taking those shots further up the levels. Not that there's many levels for him to go, but a more spiteful puncher with a little bit more accuracy, because he were never getting caught here on your solar plexus. It was just round the back. But yourself, if you get it in the right spot, your floating rib or your liver, don't matter who you are and how tough you are, you're going down, because that's it.
I think Ball's 27, 28 now, so he's definitely in his physical prime. I think his career is not, like I said on the stream last night, I don't think it's conducive to an incredibly long career at the top of the sport. I think that style, eventually it's going to catch up with you. But like I said, he's not here for a long time. He's here for a good time. And every single fight that he's going to be involved in from now until he hangs them up is going to be absolutely must-see television.
Yeah.
Where does he go next?
Vargas rematch for me. Has to be. I don't think they're going to want it, but, where can he go? It's got to be one of the other champions, and I just believe that because of the draw, whatever you believe or whoever you believe won that fight, they have to right that wrong. And if Vargas is anything of a champion, then he's going to want to right that wrong also. Where they do it, can't see him coming over here. Are they going to want to do it?
Riyadh season again? It was the first one was Riyadh season, so it wouldn't surprise me if they run it back on a Riyadh season. Ball needs a rest now. There's no doubt about that.
Have a nice Christmas. Spend some time with your family. I don't know if he's got kids and a family and whatnot, but regardless of that, he needs to take some time for himself. This is his third fight of 2024, I believe. Second or third fight. But
yeah, I think. Well, he fought. I think it was December, June, and September. So he's
basically his fourth fight in 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
2 of those have been at elite level. Took a lot out of him as well. I don't care what you say. When you're having fights like that, you leave a piece of yourself in there. You can't not, because you've got to dig deep. I know Nick Ball was in control, but he had to dig deep last night. He was being made to work,
much deeper than any of us gave Rios credit for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's got to be another unification fight for me. There's nobody over here that I feel is chomping at the bit, really. You don't hear anybody calling him out, do you?
Nah, we don't have, obviously, our featherweight generation, I guess, from previously, Josh Warrington and Lee Wood and people like that. They've all moved up now to 130 pounds. So, there's not really any domestic fights out there. The Vargas rematch is definitely the one that stands out. Obviously, Angelo Leo's just knocked out Luis Alberto Lopez, who's got wins over Michael Conlan and Josh Warrington, so he's well known over here. Yeah. Leo lost to Stephen Fulton at 122 pounds. Fulton's now fighting at featherweight. He just won on the Canelo undercard the other week, but he's Nick Ball's mandatory, I believe. It's a fun fight. You've got Espinoza, he's very good. He's one of the other champions, and obviously Vargas is WBC that Nick Ball should really be holding. So, if I was to take a guess as to what direction that Frank and Queensbury are going to be looking to move him, I would suggest it would be Vargas. But if I'm them, Stephen Fulton's a big money fight. He's got big names. He's obviously fought Niue. That's a fight that I think Nick Ball could very much win, and he can make a hell of a lot of money off it. But he is a PBC fighter, and they like to keep him in house.
Yeah. I don't any one of those. You could pick those names out of a hat for me, line them up, and I believe that he's competitive, if not beats them all. My opinion on the
fight. Give anyone a hard time. That's a fact.
Fight. I believe he won that fight, so I believe it's very similar to the first, but probably wider because Nick Ball knows what to expect. I just don't fear for him in any of them. My only fear for Nick Ball is him getting caught with something he don't see and getting absolutely flatlined. I think that's the only way.
He's susceptible to an uppercut, definitely.
Yeah. Said it last night. We both saw it on the live. I think anybody that had been a little bit, and this is I'm trying to pick my words without being disrespectful to Rios, but I don't think he could see the exit. When Nick Ball exits, he leans to one side. We said that about somebody else as well, and it's just a trait that he's got. But maybe he does that when he knows he can't get caught with it. Because his boxing IQ is pretty good. You could see slightly how he changed his footwork last night to make punches work that weren't necessarily working for him. So he's a clever fighter as well. He's not just gung-ho that goes out there winging. There is tactics to what he does. But yeah, I'd like to see him become a little bit smarter with his defensive work. He takes way too many for me anyway. But the way he pulls out, he leaves a gap. Someone like Fulton, who's pretty slick, could maybe catch him on his exit with a counter uppercut. And we know he takes a good shot, but it's the ones you don't see that cause the most damage.
Yeah, you look at, he's got a fantastic chin, but you look at, and I know it's a different example, it's a different weight, and he'd been for a lot, well, he's a lot older anyway, but, look at Joe Joyce, he's well renowned for his chin, and one day it just isn't there anymore. So I do fear that will happen. But like I say, for now, it's definitely still there, and he's going to be in a hell of a lot of fun fights from now.
Yeah, we've seen most of his fights, and we're boxing fanatics. He's put himself on the sort of the map now as he's a main honcho featherweight in terms of what we've got on the British Isles. But I think he put last night, he filled out the M&S Bank Arena. There was a lot of people there. Most of them were there to see him. So he's becoming a mainstream name as such. So I think there's some big paydays, some big fight nights out there for him. I'd just like to see him get a couple more massive fights, i.e. a unification and a couple more straps, because he's deserving of it. I mean, he should be a two-belt world champion as we speak, and he's due some massive paydays, because as you say, I don't see him boxing another 10 years with his style, or if he does, he's going to end up like, Dave Allen.
We'll look out for what's next for Nick Ball, but I think a long rest, like you say, enjoy Christmas, and we'll see what happens next year. We'll just cover the chief support for that one, and then we'll look elsewhere. What a fight! Jack Rafferty stopping Henry Turner in was it? I can't even remember now. Was it the he pulled him out in the 10th as well? Was it the 10th?
Yeah.
I think it was. And.
I'd gone Turner 9 or 10.
I think I went Turner on points. I did in the end, but it was, well, to be honest with you, it was looking crystal clear, like you were just going to. Yeah.
I think before talking about that, Rafferty needs 3 knockdowns or a stoppage to win this fight. And about 30 seconds to a minute later, he dropped Turner, and Turner never recovered. But if you remember, you spotted it. There was a flurry of punches towards the bell that Turner's body language completely changed.
He didn't like it, did he? He didn't like them. And then exactly came out for it was either the 9th or the 10th to stoppage. And Rafferty just came out like a man possessed, and he's throwing combinations. You know, it's the theme of the night. His nose was definitely broken as well. You know, it was a terrible break, and I think he went down to body shots in the end, didn't he, Turner? He nailed him to the body. We just saw him wince.
We'd said earlier on in the fight that, you know, Rafferty could be holding out, that Turner sort of wanes towards the end, but we'd both said, I think it's gone past that point. I think Turner can keep this up, and then bam, it just spun on its axis, and Turner just, well, as soon as he winced from that body shot, that was the beginning of the end, because he let Rafferty know, you've hurt me there. You know, he really winced and went down, and he just never recovered. Obviously, Rafferty didn't allow him to recover. He just sort of drowned him. Amazing.
He did really well to survive the round, didn't he? Turner, in fairness, but his corner made the right decision. He was definitely done. No coming back from where he got
knocked out. He'd have got knocked out if they hadn't have ended that fight when they did. It was only going one way after that. But what a way to win a British title.
Yeah, absolutely. And Turner will be back. I think it was a fun fight. You know, he's not going to lose too much stock in that. That's what happens when 2 undefeated guys go up against each other.
Well, I think that, you know, that he'll learn from that, because this is taking nothing away from Rafferty, but I think it was a mixture of Rafferty's pressure and Turner's inexperience in that situation. He's never been in a situation like that where he's hurt to the body, or before that, he must have felt that it was hurting him and he was struggling with his nose. I think if he'd have just boxed slightly different and kept, because he started to engage as well, which was silly after he'd spent all night counter punching and boxing on the back foot. He started to engage towards the end, and it were like, you shouldn't be doing that. You know, you get hurt, and then, you know, here we are, 24 hours removed from that, less than 24 hours removed from that, and he's got the first loss on his record. Rafferty goes on as an unbeaten champion. It was a great fight. We'd said as well, we need a good fight to warm us up for the main.
Definitely. It was fantastic. Moving on then from Liverpool on Friday lunchtime-ish, we had Janibek defending his WBO and IBF champion, but in the end, the WBO wasn't on the line, so it was just his IBF 160-pound belt on the line against Andre Mikhailovich. A battle of undefeated fighters again. You know, Janibek getting the stoppage in the 9th round, I think it was, in the end. Mikhailovich done well. It looked like he was going to get out there really early at one point, but Janibek's class just showed too much in the end. He's a serious fighter. He took his foot off the gas, I would say, a little bit. Points in the fight.
I mean, inexperience was a massive difference there. I think, you know, Janibek boxed at an elite level for a matter of time. I think we'd spoke about his first battle was making weight. He seemed to do that fairly comfortably and looked okay on the scales for me, you know. But I was interested to see what kind of performance he'd put on. As you say, he did look very tentative to start with. Scott wobbled a bit, got rocked a bit, took a fair few shots. I don't know whether he wanted to see what was going to be there for him to work with, and sort of gave him a couple of rounds maybe, because when he started to go through the gears, it became apparent that he was better than his opponent. And that, again, no disrespect, because I don't box and I couldn't, even if I did, I couldn't get to that level. So I'm not discrediting what he did, but you could see there was a gap in skill set and power. I'd like to see, you know, another world champion, maybe the Adamas fight, something like that, or Hamza Shiraz. I think
what's going to happen now, there's a few options on the table for Janibek, but the way the division's going, I think that WBO belt's going to become vacant that he had. Number 1 and number 2, I believe, is Hamza Shiraz and Denzel Bentley. It's a very easy fight to make for Queensbridge, isn't it? Adames and Erislandy Lara are WBC and WBA.
He did call them both out, didn't he? He called Adames and Lara out.
Yeah.
Did Janibek.
They'd have to pay both of them to take the Janibek fight. They want cashing out for that fight for sure. But Yeah, it looks like Hamza and Bentley could fight for that WBO. Hamza's mandatory for Adames as well, but it probably just makes sense to go fight Denzel Bentley potentially for that WBO.
Potentially, but I could see a scenario where they try get them both world title fights, and to prepare us for a massive unification fight over here next year.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them maybe getting Bentley against Adames and Janibek Shiraz, and maybe splitting the two, or even Lara. I could see Bentley fighting someone like Lara.
I think Hamza will fight either Adames or Bentley for that vacant WBO. I don't think that they'll do Hamza Janibek, even though he was offered it for the Wembley Riyadh season card. Janibek turned it down, so maybe they will. But I think now that the path is a little bit more open now for Frank and Queensberry, they can maneuver the belts, like you said, I think a little bit more.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Frank's sort of leading the way at the minute, isn't he? They're coming to Frank cap in hand. He's got the middleweights, he's got the heavyweights. As you say, it's an easy fight to make. I would just like to see them potentially have a big fight, a unification matchup, but we're not involved, and it is easier to just make that if the WBO becomes vacant. I think, as you said, did you say 1 and 2 or 1 and 3?
It's 1 and 2 or 1 and 3 or something like that. Yeah. But I think they could possibly it could happen like that. But Brad Pauls has got to be in and around that chat as well at some point. After his the end of the day, he drew and beat Nathan Heaney. Nathan Heaney beat Denzel Bentley. So he's got to.
I did see Heaney, and whose name did I see Heaney linked with this week? I have seen Heaney linked with somebody else for the British, I think.
Well, is Paul's going to vacate? Is he? Do you think?
I think. Well, that was it. That was what they were saying. They were on about making. I'll have to have a look. Bentley and not Bentley. It was Heaney and.
Well, Brad Pauls should be past British level now. In fairness, he
should be really. Yeah,
you'd be looking at. The Euro belts with Hamza Shiraz, isn't it? But Shiraz will probably vacate that. I can't see him looking for European title defences at this stage. He just took it for the Tyler Denny fight, didn't he?
Yeah,
and made sense.
He's past that level. Hamza Shiraz, it's world title or bust, and I don't think any of the champions are going to be clambering to boxing.
They're not hurry to fight Hamza, are they?
Mandated or massive paychecks. It's that simple. But Uncle Frank's got Uncle Turkey's money, in the background. I think Hamza Shiraz is the Riyadh season captain.
He's the ambassador for Riyadh season. So yeah, he's not going to struggle for opportunities, Hamza. But we'll see what happens with Janibek. It looks like he wants to stay at 160 pounds. So he looked okay at the weight, I must say, the other day. So
was last time an anomaly? Did he just do it wrong? Because he didn't look anything like as bad as what he was last time.
No. He looked fine on the scales on Thursday. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what's next for Janibek. Just looking ahead then before we wrap things up. A huge week coming up.
I'm not ready for it, man. I'm not ready for it. Honest to God.
It's going to be crazy. It looks like we've avoided disaster. Touch wood. I think better be.
Don't say that.
No, I think his camp should be pretty done now. If he gets injured now, it would be ridiculous. I think most boxers are sort of tapering off at this stage. And
remember what happened with Tony Ferguson?
Yeah.
Did he not trip on a bloody electrical cable and blow his ACL? I know it's MMA, but it's the same scenario.
Yeah, you just never know. Better be able to pull his meniscus getting off the plane or something in Saudi Arabia.
I always said I didn't think it'd happen. I thought that we'd have an injury, but fingers crossed. We pray to the boxing gods that this fight happens, because let me tell you, this is going to be a fight for the ages. We're not going to have no feeling out process. We're not going to have no tentative starts. These two are going to go to the centre and throw down. It's that simple. And the undercard, wow. Yeah. We will be on every day this week. We've got a fight for every day in the lead up to Saturday, and then we'll be live watching with the rest of you. It's wow. I've not been as excited for a card in a long time. I know we've had some big ones, the 5v5 and the AJ and whatnot, but this for me is card of the year.
I think there's just that main event. There's no way that anyone cannot say that's not the best fight in boxing.
Absolutely not. I tell you what, I am a little bit disheartened by, and I hope they change it. that Eubank Junior's co-main. Just don't get why is Clark Wardley not co-main?
Well, if the scheduling's right on the poster, it's not even like before Eubank either, is it? It's quite a way down, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not. That's not for me. That no, it needs fights.
Yeah. The only reason Eubank Junior is on the card is his name. Like, there's no he is well known and he has a fan base. Well, whether it's a fan base or whether it's people tuning in to watch him lose, he has.
Either or, they're buying out, they're tuning
in.
Well,
that's it. So he's clearly on the card just for his name. If he's fighting Camille Serrameta, absolutely no offense at all or disrespect to Camille Serrameta, but Chris Eubank Jr. is on that fight card because he's Chris Eubank Jr., whereas the rest of them are on the card because they're in big competitive fights.
They've all got title implications, Sam. Every single fight that's other than that has implications. Clark Wardley, they're fighting for the British and Commonwealth, but it has world title implications. They're on about it being the AJ sweepstakes for his comeback fight.
Potentially.
The main fight.
The winner's right there at the top of the heavyweight division for sure.
Exactly. We've got undisputed going on in the main event. We've got people stepping up. Yeah,
Fire defending his world title against Jack Massey. You got Sky Nicholson fighting Raven Chapman, world title. Ben Whittaker against Liam Cameron. Ben Whittaker's huge name, whether you like it or not. He's here to stay, and he's got a big name. He goes viral almost every fight that he has. And then what's the other fight that I can't think of now? There's another one.
Mark Chamberlain, not Chamberlain. Is it Mackinson? McKinson's fighting. Isn't it McKinson? No,
he's on the Aziz versus Boazzi card. There's just another fight that I can't think of now that I'm missing.
Let's get the card.
Yeah, it's going to annoy me that now.
I've got it here now. It is. I think Raven Chapman's going to beat Sky Nicholson.
Yeah, I think that's definitely in play. Raven Chapman to beat Sky Nicholson.
Right, let's have a look.
No, I think that's all of them covered.
Lakel versus Jesus Gonzalez.
Yeah, that's kicking off the card, isn't it? Then it's.
But that's all of them. It's then Nicholson, Chapman, Whittaker, Cameron, Opataya, Massey, Wardley, Clark, Eubank, and then it was.
Okay. I've got that wrong. Then Wardley Clark is the one before the
maybe not, because I'm still looking at one that's got Stevenson Cordina on.
Of course, yeah, they lost the fight, didn't they? That was it. The lost Stevenson Cordina. Yeah.
Shakur's not still on that card, is he?
No, neither of them are on the card. Cordina turned it down, I believe, to stay on the card. He's having a dispute with Eddie Hearn over money or something, I heard.
They've let him go. I'm hearing.
It wouldn't surprise me. Matchroom don't need the baggage if he's not a huge name for them, is he?
No, but I'm hearing they've let him go.
Wouldn't surprise me. Frank will come and get him, or Boxer.
Will they though? I mean, what's he got left? And that. What's he got
left?
Boxer
Seem to be signing. Obviously, we'll cover this on Wednesday because it's a good talking point. Obviously, Anthony Yard, but they've signed Shannon Courtenay as well. So any free agent or people.
Shannon, how many fights has she had in the last 5 years? 2?
I don't know. I didn't even know she was still boxing, if I'm being honest.
The only time I see her, she's in one of the female MMA fighters camp. She knocks around with Molly McCann and what's the...
Leah McCourt.
Leah McCourt.
Uh-huh.
She normally hangs around with them and Ebony Bridges. They've got like a power team there, haven't they? Female fighters. But no, I'm disappointed with Shannon Courtenay. She turned over with a lot of pomp and ceremony. She got a world title. She fought Ball. Was it Rachel Ball? She ain't boxed since either.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I'm interested to see, but it'll be a TBA, same as it is with Anthony Yard. I think Anthony Yard's had more TBA fights than he has named fights.
He either fights TBA, the best in the world, or Lyndon Arthur.
It's one or the other, isn't it? It's crazy.
That's Anthony Yard's career, but we'll get into that on Wednesday for No Punches Pulled, of course. That'll do. That was a nice little 30 minutes there. Obviously, don't forget to follow Jay's Fight Talk on X. Subscribe to Jay's YouTube channel as well, Jay's Fight Talk. We'll briefly switch over for any UFC fans. We're going to review UFC 307. Catch us all week for a huge week for Beterbiev versus Bivol. We'll have all sorts of content coming out, live shows, predictions. Me and Jay are going to battle all week over who's going to win the fight because we're on completely opposite sides of the fence. But we'll figure that out as the week comes along.
Flipping and flopping all week.
Yeah.